under the radar who've led the charge top of the table, and you've got the Wall who've battled through the 4th place and 3rd place. Who's your money on? Like, if you're a betting man, I know you've already lost your house, but if you had a bit of spare extra change, who are you going to bet on?
Listen, I love the underdog story, and I think I said it on the last one. If it's not SC Dons, it's going to be the Wall for me.
Right, so I'm right. I'm always right. I told you, Apps, man. I told you the guys were going to do it.
I knew it was coming. I should have known it was coming.
You're becoming a hazard to some of these teams, you know, like betting on these teams. I told you. If you
for
didn't
free.
want if you didn't want the Wall to win, then just say so, man. Just be honest.
Listen, what's worse is I actually said I'm gonna have to start betting against the teams that I want to. Listen, I had an absolute stinker in it. I apologize to the Wall if my Drake curse, the Apple curse, has actually become a thing now.
It's gonna be well renowned.
For what it's worth, I have it from very good sources that the Wall were all over under the radar. They were all over them, and it was dominated very much so by the Wall. I think the feedback that I got from more than one person, from more than 2 people actually, was that the Wall had 3 chances on goal and they scored all 3. Other than that, they were quite happy not happy, but they sat behind the ball, and the Wall dominated the game and really played the better football. But ultimately, we know that the only thing that wins games is goals. So you know, that's kind of where we are with it. But listen, it sounds like it was a drama-filled finale to the season, everything that everybody really would have wanted it to be. So really congratulations to both teams for making it a spectacle.
Of course. If you guys don't know what we're talking about the SFL League Decider final, of whatever they want to call it, which is between Under the Radar and the Wall, finished 3-2 to Under the Radar. Once again, at the start of the video, we were saying, look, this is a spoiler alert. So again, if you don't want to listen to it, listen back at the end of the week. The content will come out, but you know how things go. Things move quickly, so we want to react to it. And yeah, a fiery game from what I hear and what I saw tweeted out. Obviously, we'll see the footage shortly, but congratulations to Under the Radar and the Wall, in fact, as well.
Interestingly enough, the Wall have had to play 3 games in 6 days.
Yes, that's exactly
3 games in 6 days. So that is a big ask. That's a big ask. So for me, this is just my opinion. I think that one of the things that the league got wrong this year is underestimating the cancellations due to weather and bad pitches and these things. So when you are playing a fixture every other week, even if you are only playing 10 games for 8 or 9 of those weeks, for 10 weeks in this country, for the most part, pitches are almost unplayable unless you're going to spend a fortune on AstroTurf pitches. And at that point, they're going to be inundated with bookings. So I think that's just something that the league can take into consideration for next season. Think about the fixture list. Perhaps sometimes, you know, consider midweek fixtures, whatever it is that needs to take place. But I think what can't happen is another situation that the Wall were in now, which is that they've had to play 3 enormous games. By the way, SC Dons, Hatch Lane, like they've had to play 3 enormous games in the space of 6 days, and I think the last 2 games were in 2 days. So you know, so it's I think that was really difficult for them to prepare and recover physically, mentally, emotionally. You know, you have the excitement of beating SC Dons, and then you don't even get an opportunity to sort of rest and recover or anything like that. You know, you go straight into another big battle. So that's something that I reckon the league could do a little bit better for next season. But listen, massive shout out to both teams. Congratulations.
No, you're right. That is a fair point as well. Like the fact that they've had to not only play SC Dons, which is going to be a tough fixture in itself, but then play the final like a couple of days later. And like we said, we're not dealing with Premier League players here who've got like, you know, that's what they've got to focus on. They've got day jobs, they've got lives, etc., etc. So for them to then recover like a couple of days later, then play like the final later on, like in an evening,
is insane. It's insane.
It's crazy. But yeah, shout out to the league as well. Obviously, he's taken some stick over the season, but you know, overall, it's looked very promising, and I'm looking forward to it next season. But now we just got to say,
wait to see more.
Exactly that. But with Under the Radar now, we've got to say, are they the top team? Are they the top dogs now? Because they've done the double.
You have to say that they're the team to beat. You absolutely have to say they're the team to beat. You can't do the League Cup double and not now be the team to beat. So as far as I'm concerned, they're the best team in the SFL at the moment. They've got bragging rights. They're the standard. They're the team that everyone's got to be aiming for, irrespective of anybody else's reputation. And this is what I really love about the SFL, because everyone's got their big reputations in the leagues and stuff that they've come from, but quite often, and I'm sure some of the guys will agree, quite often it's the popularity that makes us make decisions on who's good and who on who's better than who, as opposed to the reality of when these teams actually play against each other. And I think that's what we've seen this season. I think we've seen a reality check for the whole culture, for the whole scene. I think we've seen a reality check under the radar. I've said, no, this is the standard, and we're the ones that set it. And now everybody's got to chase them for next year.
You're right, exactly right. And it'd be interesting to see how some of these other teams that are coming into play, like your Highgate Albums, obviously they've won a fair bit of silverware this season, how they fare against these teams as well, because that's the benchmark now. Under the radar is
Listen,
the benchmark.
I am going to make a ridiculously early and bold prediction.
Here we
And
go. Here
I'm
we
going to be
go.
0 for 4.
Oh my days. Haven't you learned, bro?
Highgate Albion are going to win that league next year.
Oh god. So you put the curse on Highgate Album, basically. Is that what you're saying?
Maybe,
Okay.
maybe. But I'm just telling you now, Highgate Albion are going to win that league next year. Take it how you want it. Pause. But yeah, however you want to just like, yeah. Yeah, I reckon it's going to be. Listen, I reckon it's going to be. Either way, it's going to be an amazing league next year. So, boy, it's something to really, really look forward to.
No, 1,000%. So Highgate Album players, management staff, everyone, don't message me when things go tits up because Apple put the Apple curse, not Rootz. Apple put the Apple curse on there. But again, shout out to everyone's involved for this season and the following season as well. So that's going to be exciting. Oh dear. Whilst we're at it, let's talk about these point deductions. I don't know if you've seen it come through from the FA talking about point deductions for teams that get a bit too big for their boots with repeat offences. What's your thoughts on that, mate?
I think it's another process that's been introduced by the FA to skip the education process for referees and the education process even for themselves. I think it's a very, very slippery slope because it's so subjective with what abuse is. A referee can call a game off or can claim certain things happen, and I'm sure we've all seen referee reports that have been absolutely far from what's actually taken place, and the FA blindly back the referee. Again, something else that they do just to sort of give referees more confidence because they're so short on referees. They want more and more people to join, so they kind of back the referee so the people that are taking the reins don't feel like as if they're kind of unsupported or stranded. In any case, I don't think this is the way forwards. I think basically what you're saying is if you've ever disagreed with a referee before and there's been a history of you not agreeing, of you not wanting to stay silent, then actually we're going to jump on you and we're going to discipline you some more. I just really don't think that's the way forward. So I don't think that's good for anybody. Taking points away because you have disagreements with referees. I'm sorry. That's just a big no-no for me. So, unfortunately, what you are actually doing is you're putting league titles and cups and big results in the hands of people that either like you or don't, people that may or may not tell the truth, and scenarios that may or may not warrant a reaction. The issue is when you start gagging people, and I think I've said this before on Sky Sports News, but when you start gagging people, you end up with passive-aggressive people on the football pitch or even on the side of the pitch, and that's not what the game needs. The game needs a consistent level of education, a consistent level of support, and it needs the right people running football matches. But it also needs the right people running football clubs and running teams. So this isn't just something that I'm going to bash the FA over the head for and say, get it right with referees. No, clubs, get it right with your coaches, get it right with your managers. So. Look, it's something that needs work on both sides. I don't think point deductions is the right thing to do. Look, it is in itself discriminatory. It is because you're saying if you've had an issue in the past, we're now just going to start taking points. So what does that mean? Someone that's never had a history of it, but they do something bad, they're not going to get any points taken away. But because so-and-so, Joe Bloggs, has had an issue, now he loses 3 points. Now the guy that hasn't had an issue, they essentially gain 3 points because he's lost them, and then they'll go ahead and win a league title. Insane, just insane. I'm sorry, but that can't take place.
Will sin bins have a knock-on effect? Because obviously that was introduced quite recently as well. But I don't know if that's gone down too well in terms of like the whole grassroots community because some people are confused in terms of sin bins, like yellow cards and stuff like that. Will that take a knock-on effect, or will it just be like, well, even teams will be targeted as well because there'll be certain teams like referees be like, oh god, not them again, yet adding them to the list straight away, like.
Well, I think it's inevitable. Yes, that people will get targeted. Clubs, teams, managers, coaches, even specific players. Yeah, they will get targeted. They will, because now they'll know that this is just yet another little weapon that they've got in their pocket that they can use to sort of take control over people and situations. What we don't need more measures of control from referees against clubs and players. We don't need that. What we need is proper training. We need proper selection. There has to be a proper selection process. There should be a personality interview. It should not be that. And look, listen, I say that, but I also somewhat agree that that should also be the case if you want to be a football coach. Yes, it should be open to anyone that they can book onto a course, but as a part of that, you must tick certain boxes. So, for instance, if you're a racist, if you are a bigger, if you're a misogynist, all of these things, if you possess these characteristics, well, actually, we don't want you a part of this space.
Mm.
And I think
You're right.
that's also something that needs to go into refereeing. If you are racist, if you aren't a very good communicator, if you don't know how to manage a conflict and all these kinds of things, well, we need to know that before you go and part ways with your money and go and pay for this course. Before we essentially are giving you a job, because when you pass your referee's course, it's not just there's your certificate and you're gone. You get affiliated to a county FA. And now there's somewhat of an expectation for you to go and run games, whether it be youth games or adult games, amateur, semi-pro, whatever it is. But we must know that they're the right person that's doing that, as opposed to just getting people in the door just because it's really difficult and there's not many referees. Well, you know what? If there's not that many referees, ask yourself why. This is a vicious cycle. You keep giving people qualifications and giving people jobs that aren't fine. They might have the piece of paper, but they're not really personally qualified for it. They're not the right personality. So therefore, they immediately feel under-supported. And it becomes this vicious cycle. I've spoken to so many referees. I think I've put some comments on a few things. I've had referees DMing me on Instagram, which is actually my family page. So Highgate Albion, don't take any offense for me not accepting your friend requests just yet. Look, I get DMs on my family Instagram page. I get DMs on my Twitter about, you talk so badly about referees. It's not that I talk badly about referees. I talk badly about the people that become referees. The people that shouldn't be referees that then become referees. I love referees. The game wouldn't exist without them. Well, I guess it would. It could, but listen, the FAs are selling the guys short. The people that are becoming referees are getting sold short by the FA, and I can't help but feel like it's always because of money. It's always because of cutting costs. If you keep cutting costs, if you keep cutting corners, these are the results. This is what's going to happen. At some point, the referees have to say enough's enough. All we want is proper training. Then so be it. But at least if you have like an entrance interview and an exit interview before and after your course, you know where that person needs support. You know where they need help.
Fair point.
Sorry, I ranted. I apologize.
Nah, it's fine, mate. It's fine. You're passionate about it, and I love that about you. That's the reason why people gravitate and listen to you week in, week out. So, you know what would be interesting as well if we could get a referee. If any referees are listening into this, it'd be good to get your point of view on this as well, and then just carry on the discussion. But yeah, we'll wait to see how this unfolds. Obviously, it'll have a knock-on effect on everything that we cover as well. So, make sure you stay tuned, and let us know your thoughts in the comment section below.